If you need the support of the club, it will always be there for you.
Its value to society has never been appreciated so much as it has been in our COVID period.
If this is All-Ireland Rugby, we're going to enjoy this, and we have.
That feeling, I suppose, was taken for granted for so long, with that feeling after a win, very different to the feeling after a loss.
They come to that bar and they're given as warm a welcome as we can give them. We like to beat them, undoubtedly, but we'll buy them a pint afterwards after we beat them. Friends on the orange side of the community and friends on the green side of the community. And to see them play together, win together and socialise together with absolutely no barriers at all, to me that's very warming. That's difficult to reproduce in any other sport. I don't know if Armagh's unique in this, but I'm sure there's a certain amount of overlap for most other clubs. We have over 100 volunteers every Saturday go out on those pitches. That could be minis coaches, youth coaches, ladies helping in the kitchen, people putting the flags out, people cutting the grass, idiots like me running around. And that is the core of the whole thing, is the volunteers. That you'd get a text on Thursday evening, can you be to do something? And should it be me, should it be anyone? It's always done. Of course, COVID just had to come along and ruin it for everybody. Very touching. Sorry. Sorry. Just my brother-in-law died. Who was a supporter, a club member? Always stayed at that corner of the bar. Saturday in Armagh, in the Palace grounds, it is an occasion to be savoured. The pre-match, there's a genuine warmth we feel. We try and portray this out to everybody who comes into the city. What I'm most looking forward to, getting onto a touchline, watching guys and girls playing rugby again, seeing the smiles on their faces as they come off the field. That's hard to beat. It really is.
As a teenager, and I think a lot of teenage girls fall away from sports, especially rugby. I think it can be hard for girls when they're in their teenage years to stay involved, and it happened to me. So I fell away, got involved in other areas of the club but wasn't playing, and in the last couple of years I got back involved with the ladies team, and it has been incredible. The social aspect is incredible, but also the general playing aspect, being part of a team, and the pride I have in the club and that my family have seeing me playing is equal to that they had when they saw my brother playing. And I don't think I ever realised that would be the same. We are one of the most successful clubs in the country and we're very proud of that. But without the AIL titles, without the Munster Senior Cups, without all of those trophies, we are still a club and a community. When we went down in leagues, we've gone up in leagues, we've been promoted, we've been relegated. The same people have been there. The heart of the club has always been there. Regardless of what a team does on a Sunday or a Saturday, if you need the support of the club during a week, it will always be there for you. Girls want to play. I see it all the time. When girls come to colleges, if they go to a big college in Limerick or Dublin or Cork, the influx of players from those movements is huge to those teams and to those counties. And if we can get that interest in the rural counties and in the rural clubs, you'll see an influx of players in no time. There's other teams in the country, female teams, that have done incredible things, and they've gone undefeated in AILs and they've won multiple trophies. But Shannon there 3 years ago won the Munster Senior Division League, and it was such a moment of the club recognising that the women's team were there and there to be reckoned with. They were there to be invested in, and they were there to progress. And that was incredible for us as a team, and we've only pushed on since.
Great to see something so that was basically made up of kind of GA players and a kind of mishmash group to come into something that's really working as a unit and as a really big part of this community as well. So, you know, from a club going from predominantly a male kind of centred club to a lot more of a kind of female centred club, and you know, we're kind of the senior team here, which as well is quite nice. So yeah, it's amazing to see, and amazing to see the girls even growing with that, and again seeing the underage structure kind of coming in and being a lot more important for girls coming up to the senior team. There's loads of women's faces like Nora Stapleton that you see, and they're doing so much for the game now from a coaching perspective, a lot of them, that now it's nice to be up against them and to be learning from them as well. Players like Niamh Briggs, I suppose, again in that 2014-15 World Cup, I saw them in the newspaper, and then a couple of years later again I was playing against them. For me, I always felt a little bit, not hard done by, but you always feel a bit unlucky that I came into rugby when I was 18, so I missed out on the actual underage. I came in at school level and then I was straight into senior. So I always wish I had that opportunity to play as a younger player, and you're seeing girls now who have played at a younger level and they're all making it into Ireland squads, they're doing really well. So I think it's just something that we all recognise as something being really important to grow our own club and to grow women's rugby as a whole. So we kind of have a huge amount of importance kind of put on linking the senior girls with the junior girls, so making sure that, you know, there might be one of us down coaching them and we're in our full kit, so then they might come out and watch a game. We'll often have them run out onto the pitch with us, kind of, you know, the holding hands with a senior player. I think even at that age you do kind of want to be able to look forward and look up to other players and see, if I keep at this I'll get into AIL. It's not a big scary thing, because I know some of the girls that are in AIL. So I think for growing rugby as a whole, that's really important.
I think one of the things, and in particular, certainly looking at the women's rugby, you know, AIL, club rugby is a pathway through to a green jersey. You know, if we forget about the clubs, if we forget about the grassroots, we're lost. You know, Connacht, Ireland, the other provinces are the exact same. With the women's section, giving people an opportunity to play against each other, to be showcased. One of the things I tried to do here during the COVID thing was, before the lockdown, was try to actually stream games online for our older members, for all the members who couldn't actually travel to Sligo, so that we could at least access the game. And it's the same with the women's game. And I think with Galwegians and the AIL, it's something that we can actually do as long as the product remains fresh and enticing to bring players in.
We have players of international and provincial calibre who play in the AIL, and I suppose that's where it's potentially a little bit different from the men's game, because the game is obviously amateur, so the women will come back and play in their clubs, because, you know, as I said, when you're not in a provincial window or you're not in an international window, that's where you're getting your rugby week in and week out. And it's kind of interesting, because I've had coaches who've said to me that are coaching in the league, they're like, in what other league do you actually get to coach international calibre players on a regular basis in the clubs. So I think the product is definitely there. We're always looking at ways to try and, expand and, promote the game. And I think over the last number of years, we've seen, side-by-side launches, increased activity online in terms of social media, and, working with the guys in the comms department, we definitely see that progressing and seeing what other avenues become available to us to increase the visibility, because visibility is, very important for, that young girl then who comes into a club, that they can see a pathway through for themselves into, adult rugby and potentially into the AIL.
So I had been selected for Leinster underage from Mullingar, and I think I'd come across one of our old coaches, Middy, at the Leinster training, and she's who brought me down and said, if you actually want to get somewhere playing rugby, you need to go to one of these established clubs and look to get into the higher levels, which was obviously moving up the ranks and then into the AIL. So definitely, without the AIL, I don't think you'd really get very far. Coming up to this present day, it's been getting better and better each year with the coverage, with the kind of the promotion, the skill level and the quality of people coming through playing the league. I think when we look at where we are, I do think, it's something that does need to continue to develop, and we need to kind of get more girls playing, get them playing at a high level. But I do think it is definitely going in the right direction, and it's great, and I'm looking forward to hopefully being part of that.
So personally, I feel a very strong connection to the All-Ireland League, but where's it going from an RFU perspective? And that's a really good question, because I believe everything evolves, and even when I'm reminiscing about the All-Ireland League, it was a totally different era, and there wasn't rugby on the TV 3 or 4 times over a weekend. So, and as I said, it was the only show in town. But from the pinnacle of the domestic game, overarching into the professional game, I think there's a really happy fit here, where the All-Ireland League should sit and should be protected. But it has to evolve, and it has to evolve to connect to what the players want and what does the game want.
COVID across the board was a very difficult time for people. Obviously, the first initial reaction is of disappointment because our season was cut short in March. For ourselves, we were on a very good run that year. We were probably looking at being in another semi-final and competing for honours again. But obviously a worldwide pandemic put that into reality straight away, and you kind of bring yourself back down from that disappointment. I think the club really had to pull together. Income stopped for the club in terms of things they'd be running here throughout the 18 months. So we had to think of ways outside the box in terms of fundraising and making sure that the money kept coming in, because clubs don't operate themselves, grounds don't keep themselves when the money dries up. So we had to be a bit creative that way. But I think coming into a new season now, it's really positive. Things are starting to open back up outside of rugby in the normal world. And on the pitch, we got word of a full 18-game AIL season, which I think is brilliant for everyone involved. Even though the Energia series plugged a hole last year, I think the main appetite is for a full Energia All-Ireland League this year, and we couldn't be more excited to get going again.
Yeah, when the league returns, I'm really looking forward to just that feeling after a game. So coming off, after hopefully a good victory and actually going into a dressing room and experiencing, that buzz and that club song. That feeling, I suppose, was taken for granted for so long, and waking up on the Sunday morning with that feeling after a win, very different to the feeling after a loss, and roll on into next week. I do think seeing the Limerick derbies around that 99, 2000 era was definitely an eye-opener, saying, yeah, I wouldn't mind a piece of this, just mainly because of the crowds and the intensity of the games. I think the standard is really high. I think the games, for anyone that goes to the games, will tell you, there's lots of excitement. In terms of where it's going, I actually think it's small tweaks. People have this idea that there needs to be massive changes. There needs to be slight changes. I suppose I'm biased. I love it, and for me, I live for All-Ireland League on Saturday. That's your whole week is, you finish on Saturday evening. Okay, hopefully you enjoy Saturday night after a victory. But Sunday straight away, it's right, who we next week? And, the whole week is building up towards that, getting back into the club Tuesday night, Thursday night, and going again on the Saturday, you know.
It's been a focal point socially, rugby-wise. I've been there since I was 5 or 6 years of age, as have my kids, and friends I made there even in those days. They're still friends today. The crack is still brilliant. I'm just at that end of my stage in rugby now, where from my own travels, and I'm sure it applies to you as well, you know, if you walk into a rugby club, I say, yeah, I know this fella, I know that fella, I played with this club or that club. You're guaranteed the crack, you know. Specifically because of the year that's in it, I think it's just for sport isn't the be all and end all of everything for everybody, but I think its value to society. I don't mean to pontificate now, but its value to society has never been appreciated so much as it has been in our COVID period. And I think the general good that it does for people, whether they're individuals or team collective, will be fully appreciated for what it is now when we all get back out onto pitches as players, as supporters, administrators, allocadoos, whatever you want to call it. And so to get the people out there again onto, as I said, on the pitches will be spectacularly good. And fair bows to Energia for sticking with us. Looking forward to it.